Hello, I am here to tell you a story this week. So have you ever had one of those completely life-changing weeks where you go into the week and you come out of the week a totally different person, like everything in your life has completely changed, flipped upside down, back to front, inside out, and you just don't feel the same at all? Well, I have had one of those weeks, and I'm sure you probably have too. And I am going to tell you today about my week, how it changed my life, what happened, and what the outcome was of that, and where that led me to, and how that got me to where I am now. So this week, I'm going to tell you about what happened at the end of 2008, and you may remember 2008 and 2009 were a pretty major crash in terms of the economy, and like maybe not as major as the pandemic 2020. Obviously things have changed and a lot has happened, but 2008 was also a pretty big life-changing time for many people. And I was working in a big architecture practice, big corporate practice, and I was delivering multi-million-pound high school projects as part of the Building Schools for Future programme. And as part of that programme, I was a senior architect in the education team in a huge multinational architectural practice, which was one of the I think it was like the fourth or fifth largest architecture practice in the world at the time. So it was pretty huge, and I was working away on I think it was about 36 or 38 million pound new build high school at the time, and was just completing the bid proposal for that. We'd done so much design work on it. It'd gone through several iterations, and it'd gone through a design review, really big design review, and was actually got really good results from the design review. And so I'd been working really hard on that, like about 70-hour weeks typically. And that weekend, I always try to not work the weekend because I needed that time to recover after such a full-on week. And so that weekend I'd actually worked because we had a deadline on the Monday. That was the bid deadline. We had to get all the design in for that Monday. And so submitted the design, and immediately after the design was emailed off, sent out, and I got a call from my boss and asked to go down to speak to him. Now, on the Friday of the week before, many people in the office had been getting calls to go down to speak to the boss and had been coming back very tearful. And quite clearly there was a huge change going on in the office at the time. And basically they let go of about half of the staff of the office. So there are about maybe 100 architectural staff, and they let go of about 50. And so they did that on the Friday. Now they waited for myself and the other senior architect. There were two schools that we were designing as part of this bid. I was leading one of them and he was leading another. And we thought, oh right, okay, we're safe, like we worked hard that weekend, get our projects in and submitted, and immediately afterwards we were both called and given notice of potential redundancy. Because what happened was, with the Building Schools for Future programme, was when the government changed, they reassessed the whole programme, and they decided that they, first of all, they took a long time to do that. And so, for example, the practice that I worked in, they couldn't have their entire education team. They were waiting on two really huge, like £1 billion like multiple schools to be awarded, and so that was the Derby and the Manchester and Wigan and Salford. So I was working on the Wigan and Salford bid, and they weren't told about it. They were given a certain amount of time when they were told they would be given the yay or the nay, whether they'd won, they were awarded the contract or not. And then in the end, it took a further 6 months. So can you imagine 50 architects sat around waiting for 6 months? Obviously, it was impossible for the practice to support that and wait such a long time. So, like 50 of my colleagues, I was made redundant, and the week prior to that, I'd been looking for a house to buy for a long time, and I'd finally found the house that I wanted, and I'd submitted an offer, and it was a cheeky offer, but it was a house that needed quite a lot of TLC, let's say. And yeah, they accepted my offer. So on the one hand, I got notice of redundancy. On the other, I had an offer accepted on a house that needed quite a bit of work and money spent on it. And then the day after that, on my way to work, I was cycling into work, I got knocked off my bike and flying through the air, landed on the car bonnet, fell off, ended up going to A&E and getting my arm in a plaster cast because there'd been like a small fracture of one of the very small bones. And yeah, it was pretty scary, put me off cycling for a while, and meant that it was very difficult for me to then sort of start writing my CVs and all those sorts of things. Actually, in the office, the practice said, given that this has happened, we're going to help you. And they got the graphic designer of the office to help put my CV together, make it look beautiful. But I had already made some decisions. And so I was really, had some thoughts anyway, let's say. And by the end of that week, so I was like really physically, mentally and emotionally quite broken, as you can imagine. It's such a big deal to be made redundant. And I don't know if you've ever been made redundant, but live, but late by a few minutes. Yeah, being made redundant is really tough because it feels like a rejection, and you're not good enough, and all of these different sort of feelings can come up, and that's certainly those sort of feelings that I felt, and even more so because I had been experiencing quite severe bullying in the practice that I'd worked for, and the person who had been bullying me was one of the managers. It was a very hierarchical and complex organisation with multiple managers, and so one of my team managers had been the one who had been bullying me, and also was the one who graded everyone for redundancy, and obviously graded me extra low. And he got rid of me because I was a threat to him, and actually it did me a favour in the long term because I wasn't happy there in many ways, but it did feel really difficult. It was hard to get over. But I made a decision, after coming out of that, I made a decision that I wasn't going to work for another practice again. I wanted to work for myself. I didn't ever want to be in a situation where I was being managed by someone who I couldn't respect and who was mistreating me. And I wanted to make sure that all the hard work that I did was going for my own benefit. And I also wanted a lot more design freedom, because in that sort of structured organisation, I had to make sure that my immediate boss was happy with my designs, and the inner design team gurus were happy with my designs, and the senior management were happy with my designs, and the external project management team and construction design and build team were happy, plus our ultimate clients, the public sector as it was, and the school were also happy. So there's so many different people to satisfy with the design, and so I decided I wanted to work much more directly with the people who are actually going to be using the buildings that I design, the spaces. I was going to have a much more direct relationship, and that my designs could be much more reflective of what they really needed and deliver on that. And so that's where I then started to figure out how to deliver this alternative way of working, because as an architect, working in a huge company, working on public sector projects, there are teams and teams of people who work in the public sector who it's their job to write and research and put together architects' briefs. And an architect's brief is like a huge document with loads and loads of information in it. And when I started to work for myself and run my own practice and started working with homeowners, I found that homeowners don't do that. Don't do that at all. In fact, many homeowners would say to me, just want you to tell us what to do. What do you think's best? We don't know. We don't really know what's best. We know that it doesn't work for us. We want to improve it. And we don't really know what we want, but we'll know when we see it, that kind of thing. And so that approach meant multiple redesign, in some cases for months, some cases for years. And that was extremely frustrating for me, and I think for them as well. And also, it was also just didn't make business sense at all, because the way that I was charging was a fixed price, and so I was doing multiple revisions for months and months, and I charged a very low price. It wasn't very sensible from a business point of view, and it just made no sense for anybody, not for me, not for my clients. And so I had to figure out what could I do to help my homeowners understand, figure out what it was that they really needed and wanted, and then be able to communicate that to me so that I could then much more quickly design for them in a way that they were really going to be satisfied, they were going to really get what it was that they wanted, without being, going through this immensely frustrating backwards and forwards and redesign after redesign after redesign. And so I came up with a solution. I figured out how to help my clients design a vision for their home. And that vision is a 5-step process that I have now created a 5-day get ready to redesign your home challenge based around this 5-step process. And that challenge is going to be starting in a very few weeks' time. And when that starts, I'm going to have a Facebook group and a small, not necessarily a small group of people, but a select group of people who sign up will be invited to join me, and we will spend a week together where you will get a daily short task and then the opportunity to ask me questions throughout the week and help you figure out what it is you really want. What, you may have lots and lots of ideas, lots of options, and you're quite overwhelmed by all those options, and that's very typical. And often people feel quite stuck, unsure, how do you go about it? This is the very first step, and it's the first step that you need to take to really recreate your home, recreate your life, and make it what you want it to be. And so I really invite you to sign up for the 5-day Get Ready to Redesign Your Home challenge. And that starts the first full week of December. And you will see the sign up link in the description, and click on there, pop your name and email in there, and you'll get some emails from me. And you'll also get the Facebook group details for you to join. And then we'll get started, and I will help you for free to start creating that home vision. And this is something that's essential for you, regardless if you work with me as your architect or if you work with anyone else. And what is great about this challenge, I've run it a couple of times last year, And this has saved people tens of thousands of pounds just doing this 5-day challenge, because I have found that it has helped people to really think through what it is that they really, really need and want, what is really truly going to improve your life, make your home really that supportive environment to help you live in the way you want. And then that is going to really make sure that you're only going to build what you really need to build to create that space, that home that you need. And oftentimes, it's not the huge extension that you may be thinking is what you need. There can be much smaller tweaks and changes that you can do that can really, really save you tens of thousands. I think in one case, effectively probably saved her about 100,000, and her husband was quite rightly delighted that we saved him so much money. And this is the benefit of doing this process that I've created, which is based on my Eagle method, which I'll talk about through the challenge. I'll give you all the exercises. I'll show you exactly how we will go about doing that. And I really hope that you will sign up and share this as well. Share this video with any friends or family that you know who are thinking that they might start an extension project next year. This technique is the way for you to get started in the right way so that you do not make expensive mistakes. Hi, Anwin. So that you do not build way more than you need to build, overstretch your budget, and actually come out at the end not really as satisfied with it as you really would hope and expect to be. Once you've spent a small fortune on your home, you want to be satisfied with it. But many, many times I meet homeowners who do regret some missed opportunities, do feel like they haven't got really quite what they'd hoped, and they're a bit disappointed. And their disappointment comes from not having been given the right guidance at the right time. And that right time and right guidance is at the very, very beginning of the project, when you're figuring out what it is that you need, what it is that you want, because that is the basis of all your design work. So join me in the free challenge. I will help you to design your vision for your home, and together we will get you started in the right way for your home design project. Okay, look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye for now.